Most people will never hold one, but if you ever do, if you ever run your hand along the seat of a saddle built by an Amish craftsman, you'll feel something you won't be able to explain. This saddle costs $2,000. The factory version sitting in a retail store costs $30. And the question nobody asks, the question that actually matters, isn't why the Amish one is so expensive. The question is, how is the factory one so cheap? Because what you're about to see isn't craftsmanship as a luxury, it's craftsmanship as it was always meant to be. Honest, exact, built to last a lifetime. Why saddles? In a community where horses are your tractor, your truck, and your daily commute, quality leather isn't a preference. A broken harness in the middle of a field doesn't mean an inconvenience. It means an entire day of farming, gone. A saddle that fails can injure an animal worth more than most cars. It can also injure the rider, so they took leatherwork seriously enough that it became an art. Word started getting out. Non-Amish farmers, ranchers, equestrians. They started noticing that a saddle bought from an Amish craftsman in 1975 was still performing reliably in 1995. No marketing campaign built that reputation, no influencer, no ad spend, just results. Ride after ride, decade after decade. Today, the most respected Amish saddle makers operate with waiting lists stretching months, sometimes years, into the future. What began as a community necessity has become one of the most respected craft traditions in American artisan history. Full-grain leather. Nothing else. Not ever. Here's what that means. When a hide comes out of the tannery, it gets split into layers. The outermost layer, the one closest to the animal's skin, is called full grain. It keeps the original fiber structure intact, dense, tight, built by nature to take punishment. Below that is top grain, sanded smooth to remove imperfections, which also removes strength. Below that is split leather, bonded leather, the stuff pressed and glued together from scraps. That's what's in most saddles on a retail shelf. Amish craftsmen won't touch it. Many source their hides from Herman Oak leather that has been producing premium vegetable tanned leather since 1881. Vegetable tanning uses plant-based compounds instead of modern chemicals. It produces leather that's firmer, more structured, and that does something chemical leather doesn't. It gets better with age, and before a single tool is picked up, the craftsman physically examines every hide, running his hand across it, reading the grain, checking for weak spots, scarring, inconsistency. The quality of the finished saddle is decided before the first cut is made. No hum of motors, no air compressors, no whir of machinery, just the clean rhythm of a mallet striking a stamp, the swivel knife, the edge beveler, the stitching groover, pricking irons, mallets, round knives, awls. Every tool manually operated. Blades sharpened so many times the steel itself has diminished. Some craftsmen build the tools they build with. Custom shapes, custom sizes, solutions to specific problems in their specific patterns. And here's what people get wrong about hand tools. They think it's a limitation. It's the opposite. Every stroke gives direct tactile feedback. Every error is felt immediately and corrected in real time. The craftsman's hands are the quality control system. After decades of practice, they are extraordinarily precise. Cutting and skiving. The cutting stage is where precision begins. The craftsman reads the leather before marking it, studies the grain direction, finds the scarring, positions each piece to extract maximum strength from the material. Then the round knife comes out, a heavy crescent blade, and it moves in one direction toward the craftsman in smooth, controlled pulls. After cutting comes skiving, one of the most technically demanding skills in the entire process. Skiving is the thinning of leather edges so that when two layers are joined, they lay flat and tight. No bulk, no ridge that will wear against a rider or break down a seam. The skiving knife is razor thin and angled precisely. The challenge is that full-grain leather varies in thickness across the hide. The craftsman adjusts pressure constantly, reading the material. Too much removed, the leather fails at the exact point where it needs to hold. Too little, the join will be thick and uneven forever. Wet molding water, that's the secret. Once the leather is skived and shaped, it gets dampened, just enough moisture to make it pliable, responsive, almost alive in the craftsman's hands. Then it's stretched and formed over the saddle tree, the internal wooden frame that defines the saddle's shape, and it stays there for hours, sometimes days. No heat guns to speed it up. The leather dries at its own pace, in its own time. And as it dries, it permanently conforms to the tree. It will hold that shape for decades. This patience, this willingness to let the material dictate the schedule, is itself a form of mastery. It's something modern manufacturing gave up the moment productivity metrics entered the building. Hand stitching. If there is one thing that justifies the price of an Amish saddle above everything else, it's the stitching. Specifically, a method called the saddle stitch. 2 needles, 1 thread. Each needle passes through the same pre-punched hole from opposite sides simultaneously. The thread crosses over itself inside the leather, every single hole. To understand why that matters, you need to understand what a sewing machine does. A machine creates a lock stitch, a loop system where 2 threads interlock inside the material. Fast, consistent, fine for clothing. But under the stress a working saddle takes, the constant weight of a rider, the friction of movement, the strain of mounting and dismounting, machine stitching has one critical flaw. If one stitch breaks, the whole seam can unravel. The saddle stitch doesn't work that way. If one stitch fails under stress, the stitches on either side hold completely. The seam doesn't unravel. The join doesn't fail. But what makes Amish hand stitching exceptional isn't just the technique, it's the consistency. Every single stitch pulled to exactly the same tension as the one before it. Tight enough to compress the layers firmly together. Not so tight the thread cuts into the grain over time. 6 to 8 stitches per inch. Several hundred total linear inches per saddle. 40 to 60 hours of stitching work on one saddle. The thread itself is waxed linen, traditional, rot-resistant, and when it gets wet, it swells slightly, tightening the stitch instead of weakening it. The wax protects against abrasion and UV degradation, and it's a significant part of what the $2,000 is honestly paying for. Hardware and rigging. The leather is extraordinary, but a saddle is also hardware, and Amish craftsmen choose every piece of metal with the same refusal to compromise. Rigging is the system of rings, straps, and attachment points that connects the saddle to the cinch, the band that holds the entire thing in place while a horse is moving. If the rigging fails, the saddle shifts. If the saddle shifts unexpectedly on a working horse, that's a serious safety event. Every ring is solid brass or stainless steel. Buckles, keeper loops, conchos, fasteners sourced from specialty American suppliers who manufacture to working load requirements, not decorative minimums. Rigging placement is checked manually during assembly, tested against the tree by eye and by hand before any permanent attachment is made. Incorrect placement causes the saddle to rock or dig unevenly into the horse's muscles over time. The hardware will outlast the leather surrounding it, and the leather is built to last 50 years. Dyeing and finishing. By the time finishing begins, hundreds of hours of work are already inside this saddle. Dye is applied entirely by hand. Wool daubers worked into the surface in slow, overlapping circles, not sprayed, not dipped. Worked in, layer by layer, coat by coat. Each coat dries naturally before the next is applied. The result is depth of color that a single commercial application cannot produce. And because full-grain leather absorbs dye differently across different areas of the hide, you get subtle tonal variation, warmth, complexity, visual life. After dyeing, neat's foot oil rendered from cattle bones is worked deeply into the fibers by hand. It nourishes the leather from within, maintains flexibility, prevents the brittleness that kills untreated leather over time. A beeswax or conditioner finish seals the surface against moisture. Then it's buffed by hand with clean wool or cotton until the leather reaches its characteristic deep warm tone. High contact areas darken, a patina builds. No synthetic material replicates that. No factory coating comes close. The saddle tree. Most riders never think about it. Most riders never see it. But it determines almost everything. The saddle tree, the internal wooden frame inside every saddle. Without it, a saddle is a pile of leather. A precisely engineered interface between rider and animal. One that distributes the rider's weight broadly and evenly across the horse's back muscles, while keeping pressure completely clear of the spine and withers. Traditional trees are hardwood, beech, or hardwood composite, reinforced with rawhide applied wet and shrunk tight as it dries. Some incorporate fiberglass reinforcement alongside the wood. The result is a virtually rigid structure that holds its geometry for decades. But here's what separates Amish custom work from everything else. Horses vary dramatically. A horse with high prominent withers needs a different tree than a broad, flat-backed horse. Fitting the wrong tree doesn't just create discomfort, it causes active physical harm. Chronic pressure in the wrong areas creates muscle soreness, behavioral resistance, and over time, permanent damage to soft tissue and nerves along the horse's back. Amish craftsmen who build custom saddles assess the horse directly, wither height, back width, spinal curve, by hand and eye, using accumulated anatomical knowledge rather than electronic instruments. A factory saddle is built around an average standardized tree. It fits no specific horse perfectly. An Amish custom saddle is built around the actual horse that will wear it. That difference is invisible from the outside. The horse feels it with every single step. Quality control. In a modern factory, quality control is a department. Inspectors at the end of a production line, checking finished products, filtering out the acceptable failure rate. It's reactive by design. The product is built first. The errors are found later. In an Amish saddle workshop, there is no department. There is no inspector. There is no acceptable failure rate. There is the craftsman and his standard. Because one craftsman or a small team builds a single saddle from start to finish. Every decision made at stage 3 is made by the same person who will see its consequences at stage 9. There's no handoff between workers. Every element of the finished saddle is his work. And within Amish communities, something even more powerful reinforces it. Reputation. In a close-knit community where everyone knows everyone, where a craftsman's work is a reflection of his character and his family name. That's why Amish craftsmen who've been in operation for 20 or 30 years accumulate the kind of customer loyalty that modern businesses spend millions trying to manufacture. Customers who buy once come back. They send their children. They refer their friends. The real cost breakdown. All right, let's talk numbers. You've seen every stage of how this saddle is built. Now let's answer the question that brought you here. Full-grain leather from a quality American tannery like Herman Oak, $300 to $500 per saddle. That's not commodity leather. That's the finest hide available, selected by hand. Solid brass and stainless steel hardware, rings, buckles, rigging plates, fasteners, sourced from specialty suppliers, $80 to $150. The saddle tree, whether traditional wooden rawhide or fiberglass reinforced, $150 to $300 depending on style and specs. Thread, conditioners, dyes, finishing supplies, $30 to $60. Total materials alone, $560 to $1,010. Before a single hour of labor is counted. Now add the labor. A complete Western saddle built entirely by hand takes 40 to 80 hours. Skilled artisan work in any trade commands 20 to 30 an hour at minimum. At 60 hours and $25 an hour, that's $1,500 in labor. Combined with materials, you're at $2,000 to $2,500. That's exactly where Amish saddle pricing sits. Just honest arithmetic. Now compare it to the $300 factory saddle. Split leather, machine stitching, zinc alloy hardware, assembled in hours across a production line. Under regular use, that saddle shows significant wear within 3 to 5 years. The Amish saddle, properly maintained, performs reliably for 30 to 50 years. Divide $2,000 across a 50-year lifespan. That's $40 per year. The $300 saddle replaced every 5 years costs $60 a year and delivers a fraction of the performance. The math isn't complicated, the value is real, and the craftsmanship that produces it is one of the last living examples of what human skill applied with patience and integrity is genuinely worth. Not luxury, not branding, not a status symbol, a tool built by a human being to last a lifetime. In a world that optimizes for speed, for scale, for the minimum acceptable quality that passes a shelf test, these craftsmen sit in quiet workshops before sunrise and do the opposite. They take the time, they use the right materials, they stitch every hole by hand, and the result lasts 50 years. There's a question we want to leave you with. It's the question in the comment section. It's the question worth sitting with. Would you pay $2,000 for something built to last 50 years, or $300 for something built to last 5? Because that answer says something about what we value, about what we've forgotten, about what these craftsmen are still quietly preserving every single day. If this gave you a new appreciation for real skill, subscribe to Amish Forge. We go deep inside the trades, traditions, and timeless skills the modern world has almost forgotten. Drop your answer in the comments. We read every one.